Have not a motion.
I know we would, we said yes last time.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the February 11th, 2025 City of Apopka Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Students, please stand for a moment of silent prayer and pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is we'd like to welcome a new Planning and Zoning Commissioner, Mr. David Woods. Pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you for helping. During the meeting tonight, each agenda item will have a section for public comment. If there is something that's on the agenda that you wish to speak about, you will be given an opportunity during each item. If you have anything that is planning and zoning related to speak about, now would be the time to be recognized. Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 1, meeting minutes from January 14th, 2025. Does anyone have any changes or additions?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes.
Very well. Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Mott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Norwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. All right. Public hearing number 1. Ordinance 3093, rezoning KPI Master Plan, Chandler Hills, owners Orchid Estate HOA Community, Mega GNG LLC, Jacob Snavely, 4625 Chandler Road LLC, Matthew and Deborah Shaw, Daphne Martin, Walter H. Robinson III, Yoon Suk Irrevocable Trust, and PM-S1 REO LLC. Applicant is Jonathan Hewells. Location 2350 West Kelly Park Road, the Chandler Hills Project. This is a quasi-judicial item. I have to ask, has any members of the board had any ex parte communication on this matter?
No.
Very well. Mr. Howe.
Thank you. Good evening. Bobby Howell, Planning Manager for the record. The applicant is requesting a rezoning of a 117.16 acre parcel property from County A1, County A2, City Transitional, and RSF 1A to KPI mixed use with a neighborhood character overlay zone to develop a subdivision consisting of 392 single-family units subject to the requirements of Kelly Park Interchange Form-Based Code. Property is located on the south side of West Kelly Park Road, specifically 2350 West Kelly Park Road. The vicinity and the aerial photographs are on the screen. You may recall that this property to the west is the, if the thing will work, the one to the west, you'll just have to take my word for it. There you go. If you can see the blinker right there, was the I&B Homes property that was here last month, and the major development plan was recently approved by the City Council. Property is located within the 1 mile radius from the State Road 429 Kelly Park Road interchange, so it's within the Kelly Park Form-Based Code area. If a site or a portion of any site is within the 1 mile radius, the entire site is subject to the form-based standards contained within the Kelly Park Form-Based Code. In accordance with the requirements of the Form-Based Code, the owner has submitted a master plan in conjunction with the rezoning application detailing the development of the property. The master plan proposes development of property with a total of 392 single-family units at a density of 3.38 dwelling units an acre. The neighborhood character zone permits a maximum of 5 units per acre, so they're under that threshold. The design consists of front-loaded and rear-loaded lots. Lot lists range from 34 feet to 60 feet in width. There are no minimum and maximum lot size and living area requirements in the Form-Based Code area and within the Form-Based Code itself. Access to the site is proposed via Kelly Park Road. A dedication of a 30-foot wide strip for future right-of-way needs for Kelly Park Road is detailed on the master plan. Within the strip, a 12-foot wide bicycle trail will be constructed by the developer to help facilitate the construction of the regional trail system that is proposed within the Kelly Park Form-Based Code area. And part of it, if you go out there, you can see it's actually there as well. So they're helping construct the regional trail system out there with that dedication. Roadway and pedestrian connections will be provided to allow cross-access to the properties to the west and east at such time they develop. Interconnectivity is one of the driving factors within the form-based code area. In accordance with the requirements of the form-based code, 20% of the total site area is required to remain as open space. The plan proposes to preserve 32.59% of the site as open space. Common recreational elements include amenity and pocket park, green space with a turtle trail system, a passive open space recreation areas, and the dedication of the bike trail along Kelly Park Road. The applicant is dedicating a 15-foot wide strip and a 50-foot wide strip for future right-of-way needs for Chandler Road along the portion of the property that's under their ownership. A vehicular point of ingress-egress will be constructed that will allow future access onto the Chandler Road right-of-way, which is right in this area here. The trail is proposed to be constructed here along Kelly Park Road. Orange County Public Schools has indicated capacity is not available at the high school level and is deficient by 20.881 seats. It is zoned for Apopka High. The Development Review Committee recommends approval. The recommended motion this evening is approval. Myself and the applicant is here, and they have a brief presentation as well.
Thank you, Mr. House. Anyone have questions of staff? Commissioner Mott.
Chandler Road, you had your pointer there. Does it terminate there at that entrance, or does it continue down? Or, yeah, across the bottom?
Chandler Road is private property currently. It's like a dirt road, and so they own a portion of it, and then they'll have like the 50-foot strip. So they'll have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Because if you continue to go to the right of that map,
Mhm.
there's a piece of property right there, just right in there. How do those people get in there?
I think it's like an access easement, but the applicant could answer that question
And
for you.
then my other question is, because I'm looking at one of the maps, I'm looking at this map.
Mhm.
At the very bottom where the red is, there's a piece that comes across and then a little sliver that goes up and down. And I'm sitting there going, development. How does the people access that property as well? I'm not suggesting that a road can't be built or, one, put in, but I didn't know if they have access to that at this point.
Right, they might have easements to get back there. That'd be an appropriate question for the applicant to answer.
Okay.
Anyone else have questions of staff? Very well. Thank you, Mr. House. The applicant?
Good evening, Chairman and fellow commissioners. My name is Jonathan Hewells. I'm with the Lowndes Law Firm, 215 North Eola Drive, Orlando, 32801. Bobby did a great job of introducing the project. Much of what was in my presentation here would be duplicate his efforts. But to your question, Commissioner Mock, that property at issue, and if this is sequential, maybe I'll go back to this. The top one is the laser. Yeah. So right now, Chandler Road it's a private road. It's substandard, but it does act as an access point for many of the parcels that are part of this project, and as well as the parcel in question that you were bringing up.
Okay.
As this project is not going to change that access at all within its scope, it is providing legal rights for the future improvements of Chandler when not only in order for it to be improved in the future, it not only needs what we're conveying to the city, but some additional dedications closer to Kelly Park Road, which we don't control.
Okay.
At that time, then perhaps the city could look to improve it and make it a public right of way. Those private access rights that property is utilizing now would be replaced by a public dedication, a public right of way for access. But the long story short is that the access that's there today is not going to be changed through this project.
Right,
It's a placeholder.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have questions? All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hewells. All right. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like recommend approval of the change in zones from County A1, Citrus Rural, County A2, Farmland Rural, District C, T Transitional, and RSF 1A, Residential Single Family Estate. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
To KPI, Kelly Park Exchange, Mixed Use. Find the proposed amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you, ma'am. Motion by Commissioner Norwood. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Woods. Is it Wood or Woods, plural? Okay, Woods. Thank you, sir. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, legislative ordinance number 3095, small scale future land use amendment, Advent Health ED, owners Advent Health System Sunbelt Inc., applicants Kimberly Horn and Associates, care of Jonathan Milch, location southeast corner of Kelly Park Road and Plymouth Sorrento Road. Mrs. Sanchez.
Good evening, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. Excuse me. This is a request to recommend approval of the future land use amendment for the Advent Health properties from residential very low suburban to mixed use. The properties are located on the southeast corner of Kelly Park Road and Plymouth Sorrento Road, approximately 5.56 acres in size. The applicant seeks the approval for a small-scale future land use amendment application to designate this site from residential very low suburban to mixed-use future land use. They are located on the southeast corner of Kelly Park and Plymouth Sorrento Roads and within the within the Wekiva Parkway Interchange Vision Plan area. The city's comprehensive plan future land use element policy 20.9 as well as the Kelly Park Interchange form-based code require that the subject properties have a mixed-use future land use designation before development. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to find the proposed amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the surrounding area. So the recommended motion is to recommend approval of the change in future land use. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Does anyone have questions of staff? Very well. Is the applicant, did the presentation or just here to answer questions?
There's no presentation. He's
Okay.
available
Does
for
anyone have
questions.
questions of the applicant? Very well. All right. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I can create the motion. I think this is a great thing for the all the homes going in that area to have a health provider up there. And I know Orlando Health is going to come in at some point a little further north. So I'm proud to recommend approval of the future land use amendment from the residential, very low suburban to mixed use, finding the proposed change consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas based on the findings and facts presented in the staff reports and exhibits.
Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Dumey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mott. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, ordinance number 3096, change of zoning, Advent Health ED, owners Advent Health Systems, Sunbelt Inc., applicants Kimberly Horn and Associations, care of Nathan Milch, location southeast corner of Kelly Park Road and Plymouth Sorrento Road. Ms. Sanchez.
For the record, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is the companion item to the preceding future land use amendment. A request to recommend approval of the change of zoning from T transition to KPI MU, Kelly Park Interchange mixed use, assignment of Village Center District overlay, as well as approval of the master plan for Advent Health ED. The applicant seeks approval for the rezoning as well as the master plan detailing a conceptual plan for an off-site emergency department alongside medical office space and retail uses on approximately 5.56 acres in size. The applicant also sets aside 10% of the area as open space for a plaza, 228 off-street parking spaces, as well as 30-foot right-of-way dedications and 12-foot wide trails along both right-of-way frontages, both Kelly Park and Plymouth Sorrento Road. The master plan also shows approximate access points on Kelly Park Road and Plymouth Sorrento Road and connections on the eastern and southern adjacent properties. Of course, details of the site layouts and access points will be provided at the time of major development plan and construction site plan reviews. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning, assignment of the Village Center District Overlay and Master Plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Um, this is quasi judicial. Has anyone on the board had ex parte communication on this matter?
No.
No.
Very well. Does anyone have questions of staff? Very well. Questions of the applicant? Is anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion and a second.
Mr. Chairman, I find the proposed change of zoning from T transitional to KPI MU Kelly Park interchange mixed use to KPI MU Kelly Park interchange mixed use and assignment of the Village Center District Overlay and Master Plan, finding the proposed change consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas based on the findings and facts presented in the staff reports and exhibits.
Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Mott. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Norwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, site plans. Number one is the Shops at East Shore plat. Owners, Shops at East Shore LLC. Applicant, Jeremy D. Halleck, PSM. Location, northeast corner of Ocoee Apopka Road and Keene Road. Ms. Sanchez.
Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to recommend approval of the Shops at East Shore plat. The subject property is situated on the northeast corner of Ocoee Apopka Road and Keene Road, approximately 27.9 acres in size. The applicant has submitted the plat to create 6 lots, a stormwater tract, and 30-foot right-of-way tract. Lot 1 is intended for an age-restricted multifamily development, and Lot 5 is slated as the anchor grocer. The plat is consistent with the Shops at East Shore Major Development Plan approved by the City Council on March 1st, 2023, as well as the Shops at East Shore Multifamily Construction Site Plan and the Shops at East Shore Phase 1 Construction Site Plan approved by the Development Review Committee on November 6, 2023 and August 6, 2024, respectively. The DRC Committee also approved the latest CSP on June 15, 2023. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to recommend approval of the Shops at East Shore plat. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Okay, Jean, can you go back to the plat real quick?
Sure.
Where is is there a single egress to this, or do I see?
There's multiple. There's
Okay.
ingress egress here on Ocoee Apopka. There are a couple, and there's one here
One
on
here.
Keene.
Is there one further back, or is that just?
The the back
So there's
back
one.
here is their stormwater pond.
I got you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone have questions of staff?
Yeah, I have questions.
Commissioner Mott. Excuse me.
Yeah. So one thing we talked about with this one the last time was the enhanced buffering behind the grocery store along that wall. Is that still retained in here? I don't see it on the map.
Yes, this is just the plat, so it's dividing the property. That was part of the construction site plan
But
approval.
that's still planning to go, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Woods.
Yes, I'm looking at the stormwater runoff, and I see that they have a dry retention pond, and the overflow is to go into Lake Rutherford. Has the owners, and there's 2 owners of that lake, Has both owners been contacted?
I know that one of the owners, the Loudon family, the property owners for them, they had conversations with the engineer of record. Let me just, because I actually, oh, here, I'll have the applicant up here to speak
Thank you.
for the other parcel.
Hi, Jean. Good evening, Dorina Marvin, and I'm the Director of Planning Entitlements with WMG Development. We're the owner of the property. So historical flow, where water has historically gone, that water must be maintained at that same flow and that rate. And so all of our water management district permits are already in place. And so at that time, they would have looked at what that historic flow was. So you don't get direct permission from someone because they happen to own that lake.
So what you're telling me that anyone can do anything they want from a construction
No,
perspective?
sir, that's not what I said at all. What I
Okay,
said is that when there is historic water flow, what the law says is that that water cannot change, no more, no less,
yeah,
has to be
okay.
maintained.
But if you look at the topographic of that property now, it slopes towards Akoya Apopka Keene Road. What and I'm no engineer, you guys are.
Mhm.
From what I understand is that you're raising to make it a level and that all the water will now flow towards, get my directions right here, the north side where your retention pond is. My concern is, I live in Emerson Park, which we own most of the pond there. Um, Lake Rutherford is already at flood level, and it's February.
Mhm.
And it's my understanding that it would be 100-year storm before it would come out of the dry retention pond into Lake Rutherford. Am I correct? That's how the design works?
Well, for clarity, I am also not a civil engineer, I'm an urban planner.
Okay. So we have been having every year somewhere 100-year storm. I mean, if you look at the amount of water was dumped in this area last year through the hurricanes, my concern is number one, the owner was never notified. Now you did notify the other owner, but you never notified the owner of most of the pond.
Of which action, sir? What is it you're saying we did not notify someone of?
No one from Emerson Park on the board of directors was ever contacted about the diversion of water from the retention pond into Lake Rutherford.
Okay. So what I will say to you this evening is that the action before you is a subdivision plat to divide the property into lots. We have all of our permits from St. John's River Water Management District, from the city of Apopka, and from Orange County. And if there's a question in detail that you dispute any of those permits, I think that is separate and apart from tonight's action.
Oh, I'm not against the project. My only concern, because if you take a look before the commission, the city council, the Clear Lake Estate problem they had was the same type of thing where one said one builder was dumping water into somebody else's pond and they were never notified it was going to happen. So my concern here is just to understand for Emerson Park, how is this water runoff going to affect us in the future? But you guys are about 3 years too late in opening the Publix. We're looking forward, but how do we find that out?
Yeah. So a couple of things, and I do want to explain that we have been in this process for many years with the city of Apopka. I personally attended a meeting with the board of the HOA. Perhaps you were not on the board at that time.
Do you know
I
when that
believe
was?
the representatives that I do recall one named
Okay,
Jen, and had a meeting before we even started the process of rezoning because there were a lot of questions from the neighborhood. We provided that opportunity. This was back in probably 2021 when we weren't doing a lot of things in person. So I do recall it being by Zoom. And so they have been notified of every action that has occurred. If there's a question that you have about how the engineering was approved, and you have an engineer that represents your HOA, perhaps they can speak to the Water Management District.
okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions of the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone here from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I can create the motion to recommend approval of the shops at East Shore plat.
Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Dumey. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Woods. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Do we have any old business? Any new business? Very well. Meeting adjourned.